Gentlemen, every one of you are the most respected men in your region. Doing business with me, you'll find you'll be protected, and you will be supplied with as much as you can distribute. However, one of us here is not who he appears to be.
Come on, you jive turkeys. What kind of rundown is this? Look, man, I gotta get back to the streets where I come from, sucker.
Hold it!
I told you, jive chumps, I ain't no snitch.
Who said you were?
He's dead.
Welcome. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you feel so inclined. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and hit the bell. Even though the people that do subscribe to me know I'm not very consistent. So the bell is important. Thank you for listening. This is Joey. Let's get right to it. This episode is about Daniel Kaluuya, or as the black community refers to him here in America, Get Out, right? That's the film everybody knows him from. That's the film that gave him his big break in Hollywood. It was the film directed and created by Jordan Peele of Key and Peele fame. And recently, Daniel Kaluuya had made a comment that he's bored talking about race. He's tired of talking about race, and he finds the subject boring. Now, this would be fine if Daniel Kaluuya wasn't the person who made his entire career about race. Now, in this article that he does for a UK publication, the Radio Times, he goes on to name a number of British films and projects that he had been a part of to point out how his career wasn't about race. But he leaves one convenient thing out. These films did not bring him any fame or notoriety whatsoever. He also kind of conveniently forgets to mention that not but a few days ago, to the Sunday Times, another British publication, he had just got done saying that he left the entire United Kingdom to pursue acting in the United States because of racism. Let that sink in for a minute. The guy who says race does not define him is also the guy that says the entire reason for his dramatic career change was racism, thus race defining him. But I digress. Daniel Kaluuya's film roles that he's best known for in modern times and period are Get Out, a race film. He just finished Queen and Slim, a race film. Black Panther, a MCU film, but arguably a race film, right? Queen and Slim, Black Panther, Get Out, Widows, where he's playing a Chicago gang member, horribly, by the way. And this dude is going to be playing an actual Black Panther in Fred goddamned Hampton. We haven't even opened up filming for that yet, and he's already tired of talking about race. Now, if he had just left it at tired, people could interpret that in a number of different ways, some of which would be understandable. A lot of black folks are tired of talking about race. But he went one step further to even use the word bored, as in uninspiring. As in uninteresting. And this makes me go back to realizing just how right Samuel L. Jackson was. Samuel L. Jackson, if you don't remember, caught a lot of heat for his critique of Daniel Kaluuya's role in Get Out by saying he really wished he could have seen what a black American would have done with that role. And to be honest, he was just saying what we were all thinking, because the flattest performance in that movie was Daniel Kaluuya's character. It wasn't believable. Jordan Peele himself even had pause and hesitation on casting Daniel for that role. But to be honest with you, the best performance that Daniel Kaluuya's ever done in his acting career, the biggest interview he's ever done, the best audition, wasn't the audition for the role in Get Out, but was in the conversation where he convinced Jordan Peele that all black people are black the same and interchangeable in Get Out. That's how he got the role. Now, if you go back and watch that movie, because I've heard a number of black people say this, and the sales numbers reflect this. The movie was very successful in the box office. Very successful in the box office, but it doesn't really have a high rewatch value. It's sort of like an early M. Night Shyamalan movie. Once you've seen The Sixth Sense, actually, The Sixth Sense is the one exception, because you do want to go back and watch The Sixth Sense again after you see the plot twist. But most other M. Night Shyamalan movies, The Lady in the Water, The Village, once you've seen the plot twist, you know what you need to know. There's nothing to go back and watch again. It's kind of a one-timer movie. It's the disposable camera of movies, right? Get Out, once you get the plot twist and you get the movie, all right, I got it. I sat down, I enjoyed my popcorn, I was entertained thoroughly. But do I want to go back and see the movie again to see some kind of a deeper meaning? No. And it's not because of the film's writer. The movie's very clever. It's the way the lead actor executed his character, which is kind of unbelievable if you're a black American. Even if you're a black man in America who dates white women exclusively, you would not move in such a manner. And this is backed up by the way every other black person in the movie acts. Every other black person in the movie is a black American, and they're very aware of the racialized environment that they're in. Except for him. He moves in a manner that's not very black American. And we're not talking about accents and slang and if he can dance or any of that bullshit. We're talking about him being culturally aware of his surroundings. You know how you watch scary movies and it's usually a white person who's just completely clueless of the impending doom that they're facing? They're walking in an abandoned house and they're just, well, hey, look, it's an abandoned house. They don't have any kind of fear of I'm walking into some danger like anybody in the real world would have. That's how he moves in the movie. And it's played in stark contrast to his friend that works for TSA. His friend that works for TSA is so believably black American and paranoid in that scenario, which most black people in America would be. He damn near guesses the movie from the beginning. And he moves accordingly. But Daniel Kaluuya's character, I feel personally, the movie would have been better served if they would have underlined that he was a black immigrant. Then it would have completely made sense how he's missing all these obvious signs, how he don't have this feeling of dread. Even in the part of the movie where he says, there's a scene where he's talking to the mom one-on-one. And he says, when I'm around a lot of white folks, sometimes it makes me nervous. That's not even something a black American would say. You don't say that to white people. Not because you don't want to hurt their feelings. It's giving away your fear. It's giving away what you're thinking, and it's not even going to benefit. It makes no sense to say that. That almost felt like something they had to go back and write in, almost like a form of exposition for the plot, to let the audience know, hey, we know that the actor's not able to accurately portray this tension, so we're going to just have to blurt this out and say it. We're going to have to blurt this out and say it so that you get that he's nervous around these white folks. Lakeith Stanfield's character in the very beginning, who's walking through the city streets at night, or the neighborhood, at night, the white neighborhood, that had tension. That felt like sundown town. He didn't have to say it. He's talking to himself. I got to get out of here, man. I know how they do. That's some shit that a black American would say. That's something that a black American would feel. You know the racialized environment. I'm in an area that if some cops drive by and I'm just walking, they're going to want to know what I'm doing here. This could make things go left real quick. The movie would have been better served if they were going to have Daniel Kaluuya in that role. It would have been better served to just make him a black immigrant right up front. Make him a first or second generation black immigrant. Underline that he doesn't have a relationship with white folks like the way black people in America do, and he doesn't understand what the problem is, and have it to where he has a lot of white friends and stuff. The TSA guy is his one black friend that he kind of then everything would have been believable that he's not seeing these signs. Ain't no black American, even a black dude who exclusively dates white women. The black guy that exclusively dates white women is usually the most aware of that kind of stuff because he has to be on guard from, oh God, they don't want me dating their women. I got white female friends from work and school, from college, and every now and then we would go out to lunch together. We're working on a project. Let's just make some more sense for us. Both go to lunch. We're both hungry. And the environment completely changes when they see you with one of their women. This dude was completely clueless throughout the whole film until the body started dropping. But I digress. He's tired now and bored and uninspired. And this got to be reminding me of another word that I heard a British actor say when it comes to playing these black American, specifically these black American heroes. I don't care if you're getting tired of talking race when you're doing Queen and Slim, or I don't want to say that. When you're doing a Marvel character in Wakanda, a fictional African village, fine. Who cares? But when you're playing Fred Hampton, I don't want to hear how you're tired of talking about race. Fred Hampton died talking about race. You don't get to be tired, nigga. The hell are you doing? But it got me to thinking about another word. There was a British actor that had touted that the strength of the black British actor as opposed to the black American actor when playing black history is that they are unchained and unburdened by this history. He touted that as a strength, as in saying, because we don't really give a shit, we can come here and just read off the paper. We don't have to identify with these people because we don't. We can just come in and read off a paper. It's no different to us than if we're reading a commercial for a pizza. I can be MLK, walk in the room, say I have a dream, walk out the room and keep it dipping. Somehow we allowed them to tout that as a strength. When it's starting to show now, that's clearly a glaring weakness. That's clearly a glaring weakness. They were asking Daniel Kaluuya about Fred Hampton. He had to admit he had no idea who he was. So in the middle of you being tired about race, one would have to assume you're studying this man now so you can prepare for the role. That must be exhausting. Because that man's race relations was heavy. So that must be really exhausting. I think the words that you were looking for when you found the words bored and tired, I think the words you were looking for were, I'm not built for this because I'm weak. The words you were looking for is weak. You were looking for weak. You're not cut out to handle this kind of environment. Even the white Americans are looking at you funny. We do race around here. Racism was built. Flat out, the rules of racism were built here in the United States of America. Home of the one drop rule and the nigger water fountain. You can't get tired of talking about race over here. That's like being tired of talking about money over here. That's like being tired of having guns over here. These are things we do. Now think about this for a second. The dude who took on a role for Fred Hampton is tired of talking about race. Nobody forced you to take that role. If you felt so uninspired, you already know. You came to the United States because you couldn't deal with the racism in your country to do your job. And rather than stand on your square and fight to make it easier and make it better for the next British black actors coming up, you said, I'm gonna go get mine. I gotta get mine. So US blacks, let me get yours. And you came over here and look who gave you your big break. Black American directors. Jordan Peele, black dude. Ryan Coogler, black dude. Look at the infrastructure set up for you. You know how many black people, how many talented black actors had to go through way worse than what you went through in the UK that had you running like a bitch? Had to go through way worse as black actors here in America, just so that you could get to the point that you can walk right into a movie role and be considered for it? There weren't even roles like Black Panther available. There weren't even roles like Fred Hampton available. There weren't even roles like Get Out available. It was pimps, prostitutes, and pushers all day. Niggas went through a whole lot to be able to carve out this notch for black film, black television, and black roles so that you can walk in and pretend to be one of us and come in and get it and be completely detached for the material. It's never good in any kind of form of art, creativity, or representation. It's never good when the person doesn't respect the material that they're trying to do. That never works out good. So we should have all seen this coming. We should have all seen this coming with this guy. I'm going to be honest here for a second. When I first saw, if you go back and you look at the teaser trailers for Get Out, you know, like any psychological thriller or scary movie, there's a lot of quick cut scenes and moving around and cameras shaking and doing all their things. So you don't really get a clear look at all the actors and actresses and what's going on. Plus, I'm just casually looking up. When I first seen the trailers for Get Out, I thought that the guy who ended up being Daniel Kaluuya was the dude who used to play Bud in The Cosby Show. I said, oh, that nigga from Sister Sister finally got a big break. I ain't seen him in a movie since like, what was it, Trippin'? Not another teen movie? I said, go ahead, man. You might be doing it big. I didn't know it was some random black British dude. I thought Bud finally got on. And to be honest, if you go back and replace Daniel Kaluuya with Bud, forgive me, Bud, but you know black folks, we're going to name you whatever your most popular movie role in the black community was. I don't mean to disrespect you not knowing your name off the top of my head, but you Bud to us. Same way the brother that plays in ER or General Hospital, he talks about he's forever going to be Soul Glow. That's you Soul Glow, bro. Sorry, no disrespect. But getting back to the point, I thought that was Bud. And if you go back and you replace Daniel Kaluuya and Get Out with Bud, not only would you not see not one single bit of drop off for someone who's supposed to be such an accomplished British actor, not only would you not see one bit of drop off, I think Bud would have did a better job. I think Bud would have did a better job. See, here's the thing we don't catch when they say goofy shit like how they're classically trained and how they're detached from black people. Let me back up. Americans, white and black, are mostly method actors. They do what they live. Black people who are actors have the training to play these black heroes in their blood because we were raised on them. As Daniel Kaluuya pointed out, he didn't even know who Fred Hampton was. So he's got to go back and read a book. He probably didn't know the Black Panthers was a real group. He thought, what part of Wakanda? I never read that comic with Fred Hampton. I wonder if he thought when Ryan Coogler told him he was going to be playing a Black Panther, I wonder if he thought this was just going to be Black Panther 2. And now he's mad because he's finding out it's about Fred Hampton. Black Americans, we got these people. We were raised on hearing the stories about these people. Our parents would see them all the time. You got black folks, we got parents that would see Martin Luther King. That went through that shit. There ain't not one black American living in this country, not one real black American, ADOS, no matter where they live, whose family don't go back to the South. And you know why. It ain't no game for us. This is our life, right? So when you see somebody play pimping, when you see somebody pretending, and they're not even committed to it, and they're telling you they're bored, tired, and uninspired, you can see it. You didn't even have to say nothing, bro. We see it. So you're already tired. All you did was Get Out, which is a fictional movie. It's a theoretical film. You did Queen and Slim, which again, didn't really happen. It's depicting something that happens. But Queen and Slim were not real people. It's not a biopic, right? Not an autobiography. You're doing those roles and you're already tired. So imagine what the press release and press run and rollout's going to be for when they start asking you questions about Fred Hampton. Everything going on in Parchman Prison right now. The election, the race relations in the U.S. right now between black and white. And they're going to be asking you how the Fred Hampton movie is relevant today. And whatever comes out your mouth, your heart, your soul, and your eyes are going to be saying it's not, because I'm bored with it. Here's an idea. Nigga, why don't you get out of acting in the U.S.? Why don't you get out of this movie role where you're playing Fred Hampton? Because you're not built for this shit. I'll tell you who should be playing Fred Hampton. Just a suggestion. Why not Michael B. Jordan? Bigger name. He clearly would rather do these type of roles. Think about it. See, Daniel Kaluuya is jealous of a dude like Michael B. Jordan. Let's compare this real quick. Daniel Kaluuya is bored with black topics because he wants to do interracial romantic comedies and dark comedies and weirdo shit. You want to do that stuff, go look at Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan did Fruitvale Station, and then he went and did Creed. Now, once he did Creed, a crossover film that's in the Rocky franchise that's very popular with white folks and very popular with everybody, by the way. I don't want to make it seem like only white folks watch Rocky. Everybody watch Rocky. But it's a very popular franchise. Michael B. Jordan could have did Creed and Creed 2 and never looked back on a single black movie. He wouldn't have had to do The Best Man Christmas, The Best Man's Wedding. He wouldn't have had to do no black films, no Cookout, no nothing ever again. He could have just been doing he could have just been doing sports movies, romantic comedies. He's a very popular dude in the black and white world. Remember, a lot of white people watch The Wire, so he had a lot of crossover appeal. Once he did Creed, he could have never looked back. He turned and did Just Mercy with Jamie Foxx about the criminal justice system and black people. He didn't have to do that. Daniel Kaluuya would have never looked back. If Daniel Kaluuya would have got that Creed role, oh my God. He'd have been doing Blue Lives Matter commercials. They just look for the opportunity to use this black unity. See, when you actually look at it, Black Americans get told all the time how we're disunified and we don't come together. And when you really look at it from a grand scale, Black Americans are the most unified blacks in the world. We've set up the most infrastructure that provides the most opportunity for black people all across the world. If that weren't the case, you wouldn't have to leave the UK because of racism and come to America where there's still racism and get all this opportunity. Your black British actor brethren that came before you didn't set up the opportunities for you like the black American actors over here have set up for other black Americans and just other black people, period. You wouldn't be able to come over here if we didn't make it possible and enticing for you to do so. But it tires you. It tires you to do the little bit of effort, to just do the little bit. It's like leave a penny, take a penny. It's convenient for you when you got something that costs $1 and you only got 99 cents, you take that penny. But when you come back the next day and you got some extra change, which really you could take out your pocket because you're not going to spend it anyway, you don't want to put that penny in there for the next guy. You only here to take. You want to go do a Fred Hampton movie, which you're going to get paid from, which you're going to get notoriety from. If it goes well and black people were to have supported it, if you just kept your mouth shut, you would have might as well got an award for it or some sort of Academy recognition. And all you would have had to have done is use that platform that we have now given you and not forget about us. That's all niggas be asking. You got niggas dying in Parchman Prison. You got niggas getting shot up by the police, getting put on Skid Row and kicked out their neighborhoods. But you bored. You don't want to talk about it. The first thing they're going to ask you when you're promoting this movie, they're going to stick a mic in your face and ask you why this movie is relevant today. And you can't really answer that because you don't believe it is. You need to step aside from this role. Think about it. They got Lakeith Stanfield playing the snitch. They should switch the roles. They should switch the roles. Let Lakeith play Fred Hampton. It would mean a lot to him. It would mean a lot to him. Plus, I think it's time for him to get a boost in his career anyway. That man was been whooping some ass. He's in a movie with Issa Rae. That's actually a pretty good romantic comedy. Or not even romantic comedy. It's a pretty good relationship movie. It's a love story. It's kind of weird seeing the nigga from ATL and the girl from Insecure hooking up. It's like a crossover of two shows, but they pull it off. The man he was in, what was that movie? Sorry to Bother You? Poignant. Clearly he's trying to send a message. Let him play Fred Hampton. You can have the little appearance role where you play the dude that's more akin to your character, the sellout. You're not built for this. You're weak. You couldn't even deal with not getting a few movie roles. You wouldn't be able to deal with having to be a nigga over here. You couldn't deal with not being able to get a few movie roles. You ran across the pond to where niggas fight back to take advantage of the strides we made. Because you're weak. You niggas all get here by running. You guys jump from how dare you question my blackness to black doesn't define me according to whatever way the wind blows. Questionable, often changing morals and stances. No one knows what you stand for. Newsflash, bro. Your entire career didn't pop off until black Americans took you in. Now you tired of us. Now you're talking into your wire, telling the feds they can come in now. You're a plant. Now, I watched Saren Sensei's video about this too, and it was a very, very good video. Her car videos be like Drake mixtapes. They're just really good. I really feel like it's her best work. I like her interviews too, but I prefer when she just talks. And she talked about this, and she made a comment that she said it's too coincidental that they always find people to play these black American heroes that can't stand black Americans or can't stand being black. Because make no doubt about it. When he talks about blackness not defining him and him being tired of talking about race and talking, what he's meaning to say is, I'm being tired of being mixed up with these black Americans. Between him, Cynthia and Revo and John Boyega and all these people, it's not a coincidence that they find these people to play these black heroes, and she didn't know why. I have a theory as to why. Having these people play these people while openly being vitriolic towards the idea of these people has two effects that would benefit white supremacy. One, it results in the movie not doing well. Black folks find out that you don't like them, but you want them to support your film that's disrespecting their hero. Any self-respecting black person is not going to come out. And that has a downward effect on the momentum, makes the film not do well. That allows the people who make these films that really don't believe in them and really don't want to put them out, that allows them the freedom to say, 5 years down the line, when people ask them, why is there no films like this? They can go, well, we made a Harriet Tubman movie. No one came out. We made a Fred Hampton movie. No one came out. We made Green Book. It didn't get any support. So that the reason for why they don't make these films in the future is because they don't do well at the box office. The second reason, and again, this is just my theory. This is what I feel. This is what I see. The second reason is, if these films were to do well at the box office, you run the risk of lots of young black people who have never heard of these people, or who have never heard of these people in their proper context and gotten their full story. And in many cases, have just flat out never heard of these people. You expose them to this stuff. They're going to be having Lee Daniels redo The Spook Who Sat by the Door. You know he's going to tank that. He's going to probably cast the dude that plays Super Bitch to be the spook. And it's just going to be bad. They're going to intentionally do things that are going to turn black people off, and they're going to do it in a mocking way to ridicule your heroes and ridicule you so that you don't come out, so that they can turn around and say, well, you don't support, and that's why we don't make these films. And the goal is to make sure that young black minds don't get turned on to this stuff. Young black minds don't find out about Fred Hampton, don't find out about Harriet Tubman. Remember, Cassie Lemons, who's the person that wrote the Harriet movie, she never acknowledged Harriet Tubman as a black American. She specifically went out of her way to refer to her as a captured African. Harriet Tubman was not a person that was fresh off of a boat from Africa trying to smuggle her people back across the Atlantic Ocean into the Bight of Biafra. Harriet Tubman was not about that at all. She was getting niggas to Florida and Canada. But that's my theory as to why they do that. They want to quash enthusiasm for this kind of stuff. Now back to Daniel Kaluuya. If he really felt tired about talking about race and race not defining him, he would get out of the Fred Hampton movie. He would get out of the role of Fred Hampton. And if Ryan Coogler was smart, which I suspect he is, he's made some excellent films, particularly on the topic of race and race relations in the country. If Ryan Coogler can see the writing on the wall, he'll see that he's going to be much better situated by just removing this man from this role. Daniel Kaluuya's caused too much controversy now and put a black cloud over the film with its most critical viewers, which is going to be black people. Let's be honest. A lot of white folks aren't going to go line up to go watch no Black Panther movie that isn't based in Wakanda. Black people are going to go see a film about Fred Hampton. Black people, at the very least, are going to go see the film about Fred Hampton first and then spread the news to other people. Then you'll have white people go see it so that they can see what all the fuss is about. But if you don't got enthusiasm with your base, that don't work anywhere. You couldn't have an American World War II film starring George Clooney and then come out that George Clooney said a bunch of derogatory stuff about World War II veterans. Or worse yet, if George Clooney came out as a Nazi sympathizer. They would refilm the movie. And if they couldn't cut him out of enough scenes, if it would have been too expensive to reshoot, they would digitally re-enhance the whole thing and make it look like that was Brad Pitt in that movie. They would find a way to get George Clooney's ass disassociated with that film because they know that their audience is not going to support the film with somebody on the project that's undermining it. You got a lot of black people. You got black people so enthusiastic about not watching this film now, they're making petitions. Black folks don't never make petitions. You got black people really, 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 really not feeling this pattern now. We just had to fight off Cynthia and Revo, bucking her eyes and looking like a scared Harriet Tubman. When have you ever seen a scared Harriet Tubman? Harriet Tubman, the quintessential textbook dictionary definition of strong black woman. You will never find a picture of Harriet Tubman not wishing for the same thing that a nigga would every time. Every time you see Harriet Tubman, you see three things: a dress, a big ass gun, and a mean scowl on her face. But look at how they're playing her in the Harriet movie. She looked like Cynthia Erivo played her like generic slave number 17. Cynthia Erivo played Harriet Tubman like how Damon Wayans played Richard Pryor, scared for no reason. It's like she didn't even study the woman. The things that she said, talking about how, oh, she was a superhero, like she's playing the Wasp from the MCU or something. This is a real person. She was playing up on Harriet Tubman having premonitions and seizures, like she was getting channels from God. Harriet Tubman was having seizures because she was beat. She took a big hit in her head. She's a warrior. She's a goddamn warrior. She wasn't some mystical enchantress walking around being guided out in the field by a higher entity that's telling her which direction to go. Like, get out of here with that. They made that like that so that you could never give her credit, that she was a crafty, resourceful person with agency. Made up whole characters in the movie. They made up a black woman character just to look proud and bold, just so they could make up a black male character to kill her. They made the slave owner the hero at the end, or the anti. I may own niggers, but Harriet, I love you, and I'll stop this dangerous, bigger, long fella for you. Because the one thing worse than white supremacy is black male patriarchy. Am I right, honey? That's right, sisters. He might as well have looked in the camera and said that. I'm not lying. The white guy saves Harriet Tubman. The white slave owner saves Harriet Tubman from the made-up, monstrous black male character in the movie. The black male character in the movie's name is Bigger Long. I'm not making that up. They might as well have named him BBC. That should have just been, BBC, what are you going to do? I'm going to go down here and get me some white women. Again, he really said that. They have to pay him in white women. The only thing he's going to use his money for, if he gets paid for the bounty for catching or killing Harriet Tubman, is to, quote unquote, buy me enough white whores from here to Texas. Now, never mind that he said this in front of a group of white men that at that time would have killed you and lynched you for looking at a white woman. But he said that to their faces. He's not going to go get resources. He's not getting out of town. He don't got a family. Nothing. I just need some white women. It's the only way I can breathe. They turned your real life hero into that. Cynthia Erivo was first to sign up for that one. And she phoned in a half-assed performance of Harriet Tubman. You can tell when somebody don't respect the material. That never works out in anything. If you walk up working on heavy equipment and you don't respect that equipment, that's a good way to lose a limb, or worse. And in art, if you don't respect the material, that's how you get nipples on the bat suit. Not to keep picking on George Clooney. He's a good guy, but you know. You got black people actually signing petitions saying, get him out of there. I don't want to look at this nigga's face and see him portraying a black man who put it on the line knowing he was going to die talking about race. And this nigga's just bored. He's bored. Imagine someone saying they're bored and they're about to play MLK. Or if Denzel said he was bored preparing to play Malcolm X. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock Plymouth Rock landed on us. You've been tricked, bamboozled. Like, just imagine that for a second. We got to quit cheering for everybody black. I like that Issa Rae quote in the Oscars or wherever she was, whatever award show she was at the time. I think it was the Oscars. I like that quote at the time. I understand the code. I get it. But when it comes to stuff like this, now you can't just cheer for anybody black. You got to really be 10 toes down. This ain't about your little career. You don't want to talk about race, go pull a John Boyega and go audition for Star Wars or something. Go be the token quota on something like that. Don't start playing an actual black American hero. And this is why black Americans are tired of seeing so many black immigrants pop up and play these roles, because we know it's not because you're better, because you're not. A lot of times you ruin the movie. Now, the brother from 12 Years a Slave, he did his thing. I got to give him credit. He did his thing. But a lot of times you guys come in and you half-ass the film. I mean, there don't be no energy behind it, or it be the wrong energy. We can tell you didn't take it seriously. Again, how are you Cynthia Erivo and you don't understand that Harriet Tubman is a writer? You can tell she just dusted off the same performance she does as Miss Celie in The Color Purple plays. That's it. She played a scared, quiet woman. But I'm going to sign off after all this. I just needed to point out, you don't get to be tired. You get to go home. We don't want to see you in that damn Fred Hampton movie. You're weak. You're not built for this. The first sign of you getting hit with some racism, you on run. You came here, you stood on the shoulders of giants and thought you really were tall. No, nigga, we was putting you on. We was putting you on. And you didn't perform. And not only that, I don't think you realize how bad you burned your bridges with white folks. If you're going to come in here doing this race stuff and talking about how you didn't get picked for roles because of racism and this, that, and the third, and diversity talks, and then you go back to them talking about you're tired of talking about race, they're going to be like, no, nigger. Well, I don't know what they call you niggas over there in the UK. I don't know what offensive black people, anti-black term they call y'all over in the UK. So I'm just going to assume they call you niggers too, but with an accent, right? No, nigger. You chose those black ruffians over there in the States. You stay in your lane. That's the place you're going to get put in now. You think you're going to come back and get to be Doctor Who? Nigga, please. But I'm going to sign out. I don't want this dude in this film. Who gives a shit what I think, right? But when you got enough black Americans saying they ain't gonna see this film, money talks. The people backing this film, they know the main people that are gonna go see this film. At least initially. They know the main people that are gonna go see this film. You're not gonna want to mess up your audience before the film even comes out. But what do you guys think? I want to check the comment section on this one. But be sure to check back. I'm going to have more content up soon. But yeah, this one just really bothered me. And I wanted to put this into words and point out the fake shit in the game with this guy. Samuel L. Jackson was right. He told y'all this was going to happen. And here we are.